Welcome back to the Wild Things Baseball Network pregame show. We're getting you ready for the Sunday finale and the homestand finale with the Gateway Grizzlies. Joined at this time by the manager of the club, Tom Vaeth, for the Tom Vaeth Show weekly on Sundays here on the Wild Things Baseball Network. Since we last talked, a bunch of quality starts we'll touch on, but 5 wins after Sunday. Rolling into yesterday's loss. Obviously, it stings to lose a game in a shutout fashion, but to have won 9 in a row, and you're not going to win them all. So a 9-4 start, still a very good one, and a chance to win a series today.
Well, that's our goal every time we enter into a series, is to find a way to win it, and we put ourselves in that position by winning the first game on Friday night. So really nothing much has changed for us, other than the winning streak ended, but we still feel like we're in a good spot to come out here today, put a good effort on the field, and come out of here with a series win. We talked
on Sunday about Kobe kind of setting the tone on Saturday night. Zach went out and Kirby had a good start on Sunday at Tri-City. You and I talked about the other night, maybe he probably did have really good stuff. He still made big pitches in big situations. He didn't necessarily get the 6 innings, but all in the homestand here, every one of them has been a quality start from those guys. They've kind of turned it on in the last week.
Yeah, pitching's been really good. Definitely no complaints with that department. It seems like each one of them trying to one-up or outdo the other one from the night before, and that's always a good thing. And again, last night, Kirby he had a little blip there in that 1 inning, but another quality start. And over the course of a long season, you're going to get breaks go for you, go against you, and I thought we had a couple breaks go against us last night. And Caleb McNeely was, within a half of an arm's length from catching that ball. That turned out to be the triple. And then we hit a ball that Cole Brandon just barely gets to and catches it. And still feel like there was a missed call for us on second base there that could have definitely changed the whole inning and late in the game. But as we said, those things happen throughout the course of the season. And everybody will focus on, the streak ended and whatnot. We never really looked at it that way. We just try to go out and win the ball game the next day. And so again, nothing's really changed for us from that standpoint. We're coming here tonight to win a ball game.
To win 9 in a row, though, obviously good. To stack wins at any point in the season is a good sign, and it was in different ways that you were winning games, right? 1-run games that didn't necessarily have a great offensive night in Tri-City on Saturday. You still found a way to win the game. A couple 1-run games, other games the offense blows up, other games the pitching and defense kind of carries you. And that's, I think, a good thing early in the year to see kind of what this team has and the group has and finding a way to win games. That's what good teams do.
Well, anytime you can put wins in the bank, you never want to discount that or belittle it by any means. Listen, the bottom line is we're not at full strength.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been at full strength from the get-go. And so in saying that, when you're finding ways to win, when you're down some key players, that's always a big thing, because those things could definitely go the other way. We found that out last year when we were missing some pieces and we couldn't find ways to win ball games, and it would snowball on us. And but we've been grinding so far, and we found ways to win those games. And we knew the competition was going to take a turn up with this series. The Gateway's got a good ball club, and they have really good pitching. And I think you and I were talking in the middle of the week that this would be a good test for us to kind of see where we are. And like I said, Friday night we were able to find a way to grind some things out. We took advantage of some mistakes that they made, and last night that young kid that threw for them did a really good job and had a really good sinker that made us beat the ball on the ground last night. He followed that up with a fastball that was in the low 90s, and when guys were looking down in the zone, he would elevate it late in the count and get some strikeouts. And so overall, I thought he pitched a good game, and sometimes you just got to tip your hat to the other team, and they did enough to win. But overall, with the bodies that we're missing right now, the way guys are playing and grinding out, I really couldn't be happier.
I think you've got a little bit more in the last, at least on this homestand, from a guy like Evan Berkey and other guys have kind of turned things on after a sluggish start, whether that was the first 3 games here or on the road. And having those guys kind of turn it up a notch at the bottom of the order, when that relieves a little pressure from a guy like Andrew Check or guys at the top of the order, they don't have to necessarily carry the load offensively.
No, you got to have production all the way through the lineup. You can't never count on 1 or 2 guys. And obviously, when 1 or 2 guys get hot, they can carry a club. But that doesn't last long, and you're kind of seeing that with Czech right now. After that first week, he was on fire. I mean, obviously he's cooled off a bit. I think he's over for the week right now. And but yeah, you need other guys to step up. And you're not a good club if it's only 1 or 2 guys doing it on a nightly basis. You gotta have contributions from multiple guys. There's a saying that I like to use with the guys that everybody at some point is going to help us win a ball game. And everybody will be a hero throughout the course of a season. And, we'll need some of that production today from scattered throughout the lineup. We need some guys to get going a little bit. There's still guys that are scuffling and trying to get on track here. And so hopefully we'll find some ways to generate some offense tonight, and hopefully we'll get another good outing from Jordan DeValerio.
I want to touch on him real quick and then a couple other pitchers going back to them. We talked about his first start last Sunday, the quality start here against Schaumburg. Maybe things didn't go as well as he would have liked or the team would have liked in New England, and then he goes out on Tuesday, and that's a tough situation in a morning game, and goes out and does a really good job on Tuesday. What was different for him on Tuesday than maybe even the first 2 starts?
Well, I think he learned a little bit from the start in New England and some of the struggles he had there. Obviously, watching the guys before him in that Tri-City series that threw really well. I think he took some of those and made his own adjustments and had a better game plan, I thought, with how he wanted to pitch. I thought him and JC were on the same page with the pitches called and the execution of the game plan. And he's been able to sit for 2 nights here in this series, and so hopefully, again, he is a student of the game. He's always taking notes. He carries a notebook around with him, and so hopefully he's kind of seen what we've done well and maybe what we didn't do so well in certain pitches in certain situations. And hopefully he can use that to his advantage today.
Can the same thing kind of be said for Malik and Dario and how they threw in that Evansville series?
Well, I think so. I think I know for sure Malik made some great adjustments and kind of was more receptive to some of the things that Bo had been talking to him about and some of the adjustments that I'd asked him to make. And he did. He went out and executed them. And needless to say, he had some success. And we can't argue with 10 punch-outs and 1 walk. And he battled all the way through and really gave us a chance to win that ball game. And so I think with him and then Daryl finishing it or coming back behind him and finishing off that series, and kind of the same thing. And I know some people have reached out to me about Daryl and, his velocity was down a little bit. And my answer to that was he pitched. And when you're pitching and you're executing all your pitches and you're able to land consistently in the zone with all 3 pitches that you throw and maybe a 4th one mixed in here and there, you're going to give yourself a chance to be successful. And as I told him the other day, you can always add on as the season goes. As you start feeling stronger and you get better, and the velocity will be back there. I know it's there. It's just I was really, really pleased with the fact that both of them decided maybe we'll take a step back and just pitch. As I've been telling them all along, their stuff's really good, and it's really good for this league. So if they can just get the pitching part of it down first, I know the velocity will be there when we need it.
Offensively, we talked a little bit there about some of the struggles that some guys are having to peek behind the curtain a little bit for fans that may sit here and they watch the game and they hear 2 for 15 or 2 for 16 or 4 for 23. How much are you guys as a staff in their ears, or is it a lot of just these guys are professional hitters, they just need to kind of get reps and figure it out?
Yeah, I don't really ever look at results because you can have a 2 for 16 stretch, you can have an 0 for 5 stretch or 0 for 15 stretch, I should say, 0 for the week stretch, kind of like what Czech's going through right now. Sometimes you get pitched really difficult. Sometimes umpires make some bad calls on you. Sometimes you hit balls right on the nose, but they're right at people. So I don't really dig too much into that. I know what I want from our guys with their at-bats. And that's really the only thing that will determine for me whether a guy stays in the lineup or leaves. Is if you're giving me the at-bats I want, I'll ride with you. If you're not, then we'll find somebody else. But for the fans at home, the two biggest things, if you want to get to know the skipper a little bit, the two biggest things that I really key on is, are we driving? Is a guy coming up and driving runs in when he has that opportunity? And is he doing what he needs to do to cut down on the strikeouts? So strikeouts and not driving runs in are two big things that kind of gets the skipper a little fired up.
You get one more opportunity here on the homestand, then it's back out on the road for two. I mean, at this point, you're pretty much riding the division the rest of the way. And those we talked about, despite it being early, these are still big games because these are essentially 2 games in standings, whether it's 13 games in or it's 70 games in. So these division games are really important, and getting a chance to do that on the road is going to be a good test for this club.
Well, with the way the schedule is set up this year, and it's a little different for the people at home, it's more, it's definitely more unbalanced. I mean, you're playing the majority of your schedule. If maybe the exact number isn't 2/3 of it, but it's pretty darn close. That's in your division, and that's more than we've ever done before. And so, when you're playing a Gateway, Schaumburg's playing a Lake Erie, and Joliet's playing a Windy City, so everybody's just beating on each other. And so when you can go and, like we said earlier in this, if you're winning series and you're always ahead of that opponent, division opponent, no matter what anybody else is doing. If you can find ways to sweep like we did against Evansville, well, that again just sets you further and further apart. When other two teams are beating on each other and kind of washing themselves out and canceling themselves with winning a game, losing a game, winning a game, losing a game. And so that probably was the most important part of our streak. It just gave us some separation a little bit, allowed us to catch back up and make up for that sweep into Schaumburg, because they subsequently lost some games. Yep. But that's the way this is going to be. I don't think we get back into the East until after the All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken. And so June and the first part of July is going to be a slugfest in the division.
That's the Tom Vaeth Show for this week. We'll have more with the Skip and Florence on Sunday. For now, we continue to get you ready with our pregame show here on the Wild Things Baseball Network.